to the Air Force Academy, we would, as freshmen, where, they harass, you guys have seen all the movies, right? They harass the freshmen. And so we're sitting at tables with the upperclassmen. And you put something in your mouth, and the upperclassman asks you a question. And then they watch. You're supposed to chew no more than twice or 3 times, I forget, and swallow. And the justification is, well, what if someday, you're a high-placed officer and you're having dinner with the president, he asks you a question. You can't make him wait. Like, I would. But, that they taught us to chew our food as little as possible and swallow it. And in fact, because they spent so much time harassing us, what we would do is when they weren't looking, we'd shove as much food in our faces as possible. It was crazy.
Virginia military, it was pretty much.
VMI.
Yeah.
Did you go there?
Food went on the food went on the table, and it was competitive to get it onto your plate.
Yeah, they were family-style meals.
Yeah.
They're family-style. At the Air Force Academy, we could get more.
I have a question
Yeah.
about this. If you don't chew the food, if you chew 3 times the food and then you swallow it, will it digest?
No, in most cases it won't. Not very well.
So what happens? It just...
Well, I lost a lot of weight that year. I came in pretty good shape, in pretty good condition, at about 160, 65 pounds. I dropped a lot of weight, and they wound up eventually moving me to, they had weight gain tables. And at the weight gain, there was always an upperclassman there, but there would be one, because normally what happened is, each squadron had maybe, let me think, maybe 50 students in it, seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. It was the sophomores' job to harass us. That was their primary responsibility, was to give us a hard time. And there were almost as many sophomores as freshmen. There were a lot fewer juniors and fewer seniors because people dropped out over time. It was not easy. And so, there were the most freshmen at the beginning of the year. By the end of the first year, half of the starting freshmen were gone. Half of them. It's a crazy thing. So there are like half as many sophomores as freshmen. But they put me on a weight gain table. There was one upperclassman, and they didn't harass us. You were allowed to eat, just eat in peace. And then when we left at dinner time, we went back. They had like a cafeteria line that we normally just sat down. But you go into the kitchen, and they give you a bag, 4th meal, which was a sandwich, a bag of potato chips or something, a little package of cookies, and a juice or something like that. And we could take that back to our room and eat it later on, a 4th meal, because they were trying to get us to gain weight. And I was one of those people, I could not keep my weight on. I mean, they had us doing a lot of exercise, a lot of activity, a lot of running and marching, but they also made it really hard to eat. Now, breakfast, and I have a video talking about this. It's called, I think, My History of Disordered Eating. And I was talking specifically about my time at the Air Force Academy. And that was at the Air Force Academy. There were 2 different things happening. At freshman year there, at lunch and dinner, we sat with our squadron. We couldn't talk, and they harassed us the whole time. It was difficult to get enough food. Breakfast, it was a buffet. We could go in, we could sit with our friends, we could talk. We were allowed, they didn't mess with us, right? I mean, I'd sit at a table with all my friends. The upper class would be somewhere else, minding their own business. Every day for a year, for breakfast, I ate a dozen eggs, a half pound of bacon, a whole stack of pancakes, a bowl of grits, and a bunch of bread. I mean, biscuits or whatever. Probably my breakfast was 3,000 calories and who knows how much fat and cholesterol, because it was the only meal of the day I could actually get food into my body. And it was insane. I mean, it's amazing. Who knows how much damage that might have done to me, because I was 19 at the time, and it was just a few years later that I got so sick. So, that very well could have played a role. Now, the year before, I'm going backwards now. I graduated from high school in the bottom third of my class. And I'll tell you why. I would get to school, and we had a hill behind the building, and I'd go up on the hill with my friends, and we'd get high. And half the time I wouldn't go to class. I'd hang out, whatever. Sometimes I'd go to class, but I was usually high, and I wasn't paying attention. I hated school. I wasn't happy with a lot of things in my life. And so my grades were very bad that year. Now, I'll tell you, I mean, you might have already figured this out. I'm not that stupid. I actually was a National Merit Scholar. My SAT scores were near perfect. But I never went to class, and I didn't do the work, and so I graduated very low in my class. And because of my GPA, although I was appointed to go to the Air Force Academy, you needed a congressional appointment. And I got the appointment. They can only appoint 2 people. They can only have 2 people there at a time, not 2 people per year, but 2 at a time. So they're limited to how many people they can put into the academy. I got the appointment from my local congressman, but because my grade point average was so low, the Air Force Academy said, we have a prep school, and you need to spend a year there, and then, you know, if that works out, then you can come to the academy next year. So I went to the prep school, and I did get in. While at the prep school, I joined the wrestling team. Now, the wrestling coach made an announcement at a big meeting with all the students. There were 400 of us, I think. Said, wrestling season starts on Monday. You know, if you've never wrestled before, you're welcome to come out. Everyone's welcome. If you've never wrestled before, we're going to beat the crap out of you. Okay? Guaranteed. But you're going to complete the season in better shape than you've ever been in. And I thought, okay, I'm up for that. I don't mind getting beaten up as long as it's going to be good for me. So I joined the team. Sure enough, got the crap beat out of me daily. We had 3-hour practices every day. And when that season was over, I was amazingly fit and strong. It was amazing. But what would happen is, because the practice was so long and it happened after classes, we would miss the normal dinner. So the dining hall stayed open late for us. When everyone else was back in their rooms studying or whatever they were doing, the wrestling team would come in and have dinner, just us. And I would eat a mountain of food. Unbelievable quantities of food, right? And then I would go back to my room and I would have to lay down, I was in so much pain. And I did this over and over again. I mean, I kind of felt like I needed that much food, but my body was not happy with that. So there were 2 years in a row where I did some pretty serious, disordered eating. There have been other patterns in my life as well, but and I guess the good news is we can overcome these things, right? We can. That was my history.